What is going on, guys? Teammates Bev22 here. Today I'm here with the part 3 to my low poly gun blender tutorial series. Now you might be asking, why am I in Photoshop instead of Blender? Well, today I'm going to be showing you how to make a material, and Photoshop is just my choice of drawing software, but you can also use stuff like Paint 3D to create this as well. So what I will do is I have a square brush here, and you can do this the same way in Paint 3D or any other drawing software, but what you do is you're going to take your brush and select the color that you want. So I'm going to start with a kind of light gray and then work my way down sideways, and this is just so these will be the colors that we can use for our texture for our weapon that we are creating. So here are a few textures that I have. I'll also make maybe a brown. So I'll have like a light kind of brown here, then a darker brown. Maybe I'll get like a fade out kind of tannish brown. Get a darker version of that. Now what you can do is you can add as many colors as you want onto this. So then you can use one texture for all of your like weapons that you create, but I'm just going to use only maybe the colors that I think that I want. So now what you want to do is head over to Blender after you save this. Okay guys, so now I'm over here in Blender 2.8 and I have my project saved up. Now if you've watched up to the second tutorial so far, then you'll know that we added an armature. But as you can see, it's kind of poking out of my gun, and we don't really want that at the moment, so I'm just going to hide this armature and we'll bring it back later. But what you want to do is select your mesh and click this button that says context. And then these are vertex groups. So what you're going to do is create a new group, and I will just call this barrel V for vertex group. So now what you're going to do is go into edit mode and select all the faces of your barrel. Like this. Now I'll also select the barrel up here as well. So now you have all the parts of your barrel selected, and then you're going to come down here and click assign. So now if you click deselect and select again, now you have your barrel selected. This will make it so when you're texturing, you can texture certain parts of your gun and not everything. So next I will make the trigger and trigger guard one. So I'll create a new one. Trigger, spelled that wrong, trigger. So now what you're going to do is once again select all the faces of your trigger here. Okay, so I have my trigger and trigger guard selected. Make sure you don't have any other parts of the gun selected, and then I will click assign. So now we can select this part, we can select our barrel. So next I'm going to put the sights and this back hammer part all together. So I'll create a new group called small parts. I don't know, it doesn't really matter what you call these. So I'm going to select this thing here. So that's selected. Now I'll select my sight as well. Now my sight is selected. Last, I just have to select the front sight. Okay, now all three of those are selected, and I will assign these to a group. Now I can select the small parts of the gun, the trigger and the trigger guard, and the barrel as separate objects, kind of. Next, I will just do the main body of the gun. I won't do like a wooden handle texture for the gun, and the reason is because the gun that I'm modeling this off of doesn't usually have that. So what I will do is select the entire gun, but then what you will do is select your barrel and click deselect, deselect the trigger, and deselect the sights and things like that. So now I have everything but those other pieces of my gun selected. So now I can give these their own group called, I'll just say body for the body of the gun, and assigned. So now we have all the pieces of the gun that we want selected. Now what you can do is come up to here, and you're going to left click and drag out. Whoa, shoot. Dragged out one too many things there. Give me 1 second. Okay. Okay, so I have my second viewport out. I accidentally opened a few more, but that's okay. So now I'm going to come up to here and select Shader Editor. Now get rid of this principled thing and add a new thing called a diffuse. And you're going to attach this to the surface, and then you're going to drag in your image, and you're going to attach the two colors together. And now you have your shader set up. So if we drag this over here and we select the, we select this up here, now you can see it's got some weird texture stuff happening. So click U, well, select all the faces, then click U, then click Reset. Now this is just a simple form of unwrapping your object that just makes it so each face has the entire texture selected. So now we need to fix how this looks. So you're going to go up to the UV editor and select your low poly texture. So now what you're going to do is come over to your vertex groups, and I'll start with the body of the gun, and I will select this here. So make sure you're in edit mode for this. So you're going to select, you're going to select the body, okay? So now you're going to select all of these faces and scale it down. Now if you press G, you can see that you can move these over to the different colors. So I'll make the main color of the gun black. So now you can see that it's black. If we select it again, we can move it. And you know what, that probably looks the best. So now our gun is like a gray color. Next we are going to select the trigger. We're going to scale this down as well. I'll move this to here. And now we're going to select the barrel. I'll make this barrel lighter than the rest of the gun, like this. And now for these small parts that we have here, I'm going to select those, scale it down again, press G, and I'll make these pretty light too. So now you can see that your gun has a pretty decent low poly texture. Now you can always mess around with like the different colors and things like that. Like here I have this, I'm going to make the body black. I'm going to see how that looks. Now that's too dark, so I will move it back to what I originally had. So now you have a basic texture, and the more variations of color you have, then like the better contrast and things like that you'll get with your colors. So I recommend adding a lot more colors than I did to this. But now we need to export this, because we have our gun model, but what are we going to do with it now? So I'm going to bring it into Unreal Engine. So how you have to export this is click File, Export as an FBX, and now you're going to select Armature, then click Shift, and then select Mesh as well. And now I'm going to just call this Beretta M9 Low Poly FBX. So when you select Armature and Mesh, that means that it is bringing in the armature and the mesh connected as a skeletal mesh. So I'll export this and then open up Unreal Engine 4. Okay guys, so here I am now in Unreal Engine 4. This is 4.22, and I'm just in a blank project here. So what I'm going to do is create a new folder. I'll call this low poly gun. So now, going to open up your file explorer and get into your folder where you saved your gun, and let's look for it here. So okay, so I have the FBX here, and I'm just going to drag this in. So now you have some stuff that comes up, and you need to select that it's a skeletal mesh, and don't select any skeleton. And we don't need to import animations because we didn't make any. And I'm going to set do not create new materials. And the reason is because we're going to import our own. We don't need it to create one for us. So now you can click import. These errors are fine. And now we have our gun here. So we're going to save this, and I'm going to bring in my image that we have. So I have the low poly texture, and we're going to create a material. Call this low poly matte. There we go. You can save this, and there you have it. You now have your gun mesh imported to Unreal Engine. So you can see this here. It looks pretty good. There's a little bit of weird clipping. I think it's just because I messed some stuff up. But hopefully yours looks a little bit better. So, thank you guys for watching. If you want to see more tutorials for Unreal Engine, Blender, or things like that, just leave a comment down below. Thank you guys for watching. Team Swift 22 out.